Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV. You're here with Amanda Hall, Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. It's lovely to have your company again with us tonight on this amazing show. It's been a really busy week for most people as we've just moved into the lunar eclipse of the full moon in Aquarius. So for those of you that don't know what in the hell I'm talking about, just means our emotions are all over the place. Everything seems to be very heightened at the moment. Some people say their nerves are a little bit on edge. Other people are saying, wow, I'm having such great insights. I'm having such great inspiration in my life at the moment, even though I can't sleep and I'm having way too much caffeine, but gee, I'm having a good time. So it's a time of letting go of things of the past. And the full moon, that's what it's about every month, is sort of looking into our lives and sort of saying, what can I release? What's no longer necessary to me anymore? And releasing it and setting it free. But when we have something like a lunar eclipse with it, it also sort of adds to the energy. It sort of says, okay, this is a marker in time. For some people, there will have been some major decisions to be made. There may have even been some life-changing events that have happened, things that have caught you off guard. I know in the last week I've had many messages and with the clients that I've been working with saying to me, wow, I didn't see that coming. This change that's happened in my life has been with a blink of an eye. Now what do I do? And, you know, above sort of asking everybody to sort of calm down and take a couple of deep breaths, even if it's a negative or perceived as being a negative situation, try and turn it into a positive. If for some reason that you've lost a job or lost a relationship that you've been in for a long time, and I know it's painful and it hurts and you're disappointed and all those sort of things, but maybe in an indirect way, maybe it was the universe or the planets were saying to you it's time for a change, and that they've moved this along very quickly. Now, this brings me to the other part of the glimpse of what's happening in our universe or what's happening astrologically. I'd like to move on to the planet of the unusual and the unexpected, which is called Uranus. Now, Uranus is currently sitting in Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac, which means anytime we have any energy in Uranus, it means a me first or a pioneering energy. It's something that we need to move along. Now, Uranus is the planet of the unusual, the unexpected, things that happen very quickly in our lives, like a bolt of lightning, things that can change with a blink of an eye. Now, Uranus has just decided to go retrograde, or what's known as backwards in the chart, from the 2nd of August, and this will remain backwards or retrograde until January 2018. So what this means in layman's terms, or simplistically, is that Uranus, the planet of the unusual and unexpected, sitting in Aries, which is stirring up all our me first or our own issues, not necessarily looking at anyone else's. Uranus is going backwards, so he seems to sort of feel as if he's lost a bit of his steam. That's not necessarily the case. What Uranus is doing now is realigning everything. So we may see around the world, we may see some turbulence with politics, we may see people getting a little bit aggressive or wanting to bring things out into the open, things that have been percolating away underneath the surface. Things are now going to come to a head. Now, when a planet decides to go backwards or decides to go forwards, it's usually when the energy is at its most intense. So I'm going to err on the side of caution and say for the next 10 days to 14 days, with Uranus just deciding to go retrograde, this is when the Uranian energy could be at its most erratic. So we need to be aware of that. We need to be aware on a personal level what we talk about, who we talk about things with, and be very careful what we send out to the universe. Don't get up and kick your toe and say, I hate my job, and keep sending that out, because the universe will be listening and say, oh, they don't want that job, I'll take it away from them. So be very careful of what you send out there at the moment. This added to the lunar full moon eclipse, and then in a roughly 2 weeks' time, we're going to have a solar black moon, or the second new moon for the month, eclipse as well. So this next 2 weeks is really crucial. I can't state that enough. But on a positive side, I think we can see some major breakthroughs. We can see things that have been stagnant or dammed up or blocked are going to sort of start to move. We're going to start to see the water flow again in our lives so that our lives can start moving forward. And as I said, if anything happens that's not necessarily on a positive that you see as being a negative, try and turn it around into a positive slant. Say, okay, well, maybe my life was becoming stagnant. Maybe that job that I've just lost was holding me back in some way. Maybe there's something even better around the corner, or this frees me up to follow my passion or take up some new study or reorganise, reboot my life in a different way. So please, let's look at things on a very much a positive. Now, this takes me into our Simply Tarot card of the week. Each week I draw a card before the show as to give us the flavour of what our week is going to be like. So it's just a little way of showing you some of my work, of what I've worked with. I designed a set of tarot cards a long time ago now, based on the Rider-Waite cards. So each week I like to feature one of these cards as something that we can all share, something that we can say, oh, okay, well, that's going to be our flavour of the week. And this week I'm pleased to say it's the Ten of Cups. Now, the Ten of Cups is a card of happiness, good things, party or celebration. So I'm really going to embrace that card this week because I feel that the changes that are happening to us astrologically are going to be good, are going to be positive. They are going to bring a celebration into each and everyone's life that tunes into our amazing show. So we're going to start now with our 4-part series of Mars going through your chart. Each week we feature a planet and we have a 4-part series where I look at each individual sign of how the particular planet that we're working with affects you through the zodiac. So this week we're starting with Mars. Mars is the planet of action. Mars is the planet of war. It's also the planet that motivates us. Some astrologers look at Mars as where our sex drive comes from, and I suppose that's probably quite true because sex drive is an energy after all, and Mars is the planet of energy. And Mars to me is sort of, when I look at someone's chart and I see where Mars is, I think, well, this is how I'm going to get them motivated. This is how I'm going to get them out of bed and get them on their path. I look at where Mars is and how that affects them and what house it may be in to sort of give them the best guidance of how they can capitalise and use the energy of this planet to the fullest. So Mars is the planet of action. So this is where your drive comes from. This is what motivates you to get up and be successful in whatever it may be. It's not necessarily, we all have a battle or have had a war that we've had to fight in our own lives from time to time. This is how we handle conflict. This is how we handle those difficult periods in our lives. We look to Mars in the chart to see how we're going to handle this. So if you're fortunate enough to have Mars in Aries, Mars actually rules Aries, so it's very, very comfortable there. It means it's at home. Mars is the planet that comfortably holds hands with Aries and says, we are best friends. We go together like rum and raisins. We go together by, we have a good time together. So Mars in Aries means that you are usually a very motivated person. You're the sort of person that we all look up to, the person we come to if we want to get a new project off the ground, because you're the one that can rally the troops. You're the one that can come in, get everybody motivated, up off their chairs, saying, rah, let's do this, let's do that, let's get excited, let's be full of positivity and enthusiasm. You get them all going. And the same is said in their own lives. They're usually not down for very long. Even though they may have a setback or two in their lives, they usually find that they can turn it around into a very positive and move forward very quickly. So Mars plays a very important role here, being comfortable in its own energy. Now we move on to Mars in Taurus. Now this is where Mars in Taurus becomes a very different beast. Mars is still the planet of action, it's still the planet of war, it's still the planet that drives us, but when we put it into Taurus, we slow the energy way down. We say, okay, take a couple of deep breaths, let's slow down, let's analyse this, let's strategise this, let's look at how we can best use our energy. So it's really, really important that we do that. So Mars in Taurus says, slow down, let's get some precision happening here, let's get a plan of attack, let's get a way of looking at the situations at hand, and then we will see how we will move forward in a very logical, practical organised manner, and we may keep a few secrets to ourselves along the way. We don't necessarily tell everybody what our plans are, we just do it. So Mars here can give you tremendous stickability, it can give you tremendous drive, but it can also give you the ability to see something through to the very, very end when a lot of other people would have given up. Now we move the energy along of Mars into Gemini. Now, Mars and Gemini are sort of an uncomfortable sort of fit in a way because Mars wants to be the boss, and so does Gemini. Gemini likes to drive everything. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's communication, ideas, decisions, whatever. Gemini always likes to try and be the boss. And if you can't be the boss with one side of the 20, or try the other, or he'll try ganging up on you. But with Mars here, Mars in a sense is almost too strong for Gemini here. They can work very, very well together because Mars can give you the tenacity to sort of say to remain focused, to allow that brilliant air energy of Gemini to be flexible, to be outstanding, to come in with the light bulb moment, to have some great insights, to have great inspiration, to come up with ideas. And Mars sort of stabilises that. So it's actually quite a good sign to have together. Even though sometimes they might feel a little bit irritated with each other, there's times where this can really bring out some brilliance. So I hope that's helped you. You'll find a little rendition of this on my Facebook page later on tonight about the recap of what we've talked about tonight on the show. Now we're going to take our first caller, which is Goldie in Richland, Virginia, USA. Are you there, Goldie?
Yes, I am.
How can I help you tonight, sweetie?
I have a question. My sister died last year, and she died in her sleep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And we've had to fly from New Orleans to where I'm at. And I never got to say goodbye to her. I never told her I loved her. And it was like a drug issue she was on. I mean, she took drugs, everything. She slept in boxes. She slept in empty houses, anywhere she could do. And then, one day she just died. I just needed to know, closure of it.
Okay, Goldie. The issue that you've raised here, Goldie, and can I first say I'm terribly sorry about your loss, and loss is always a very hard thing to deal with, no matter how close we are to the person or how old we get. I don't think that loss gets any easier. And it's a very, very common question that I get asked, that people say, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. I didn't get a chance to tell them I love them. Do they really know that I was there, I was on my way, or I couldn't get there to see them before they passed because of a number of various different things in my life that I couldn't control? And my first response to that is, please forgive yourself. The person that's gone through the other side is now at peace. They always, and I stipulate always, know we love them. They always know that, we have these regrets. And the thing that they all try and share with us is that please forgive yourself. I know that you couldn't get there. I know you didn't have a chance to tell me physically goodbye or I love you, but I know you love me. So your sister is no different. She's sharing with me that she knew her time was coming. She had sensed that, I think, a couple of months before her actual passing. She wasn't, completely convinced she was going, but she'd had some thoughts and some dreams that had come into her life that were sort of showing her that things were coming to a close. And she just thought it was another chapter ending in her life. But she knew too that she wasn't enthusiastic, she wasn't starting new projects. So all of those sort of things lead me to believe that on a spiritual sort of level, she knew her time was coming. She's sharing with me that there's some massive changes coming up around you, Goldie. She's showing me from about November this year that your whole life is going to turn around and go into a completely different direction. Have you been working diligently towards making changes in your life?
Yeah, quite a bit. But our mom is real sick, and they have already gave me, she could go any time. So I'm trying to go on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I don't know how much longer Mum will be with us, but what your sister's showing me is by November, things seem to be turning around in a completely different direction where you can then focus on yourself and your family and the things that you've sort of, in a sense, haven't had the time to focus on recently. So we can read into that message whatever we like, but we don't have the right to sort of say, well, someone's not going to be with us by November, because we're not God. But what she's indicating to me is the changes that you've been working on in your life are coming to fruition. 2018 will be a very different year, Goldie, and she just wants you to relax and know that she's with you every single day. She's showing me a bunch of pink roses. When they show me that to me is just their way of saying thank you, I love you, I'm here, I'm with you, and please don't worry. So please take that as a message from her that she's handing you a bunch of pink roses.
Okay, that helps a whole lot.
Okay, it's been lovely to talk to you, Goldie. You just keep strong, sweetheart. Things are going to get better. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
We're going to go. You're very, very welcome, Goldie. We're going to go to. So it's always interesting when we get calls like that, because each and every one of us really aren't schooled in what happens when somebody passes over. We always feel here on earth that maybe we could have done more, or we didn't have that chance to say goodbye, or we didn't get to the hospital in time because life intervened. Whatever the case may be, please be rest assured that in all the years I've been in this sort of work, I do know that they do know that, they know on a soul level the reasons why we can't get there, and they're not upset with us. What they want us to do is just know that they still love us, they still care for us. And I can honestly say I was widowed at a very, very young age, and that sort of probably catapulted me into exploring and trying to understand life after death a bit more than maybe I would have if I hadn't had that experience at 28. And it was there was just nothing written that I could see that made any sense. So I explored, I researched and did lots of things to try and understand the concept so that we could understand what is actually happening when somebody passes over, and do they know that we're there, and do they know that we love them. So it's really, really important. Okay, we're going to go to our next caller now. Kerry in Pennsylvania. How are you, Kerry?
Good.
Hello, Kerry. How can I help you, sweet?
I'm confused about the future.
Okay, you're confused about the future. Can you just be a little bit more concise with what part of your future you'd like me to look at, Kerry? Is it your work, your love life, or?
Work.
Okay. All right, Kerry, let's look at your work first. So have you got a job at the moment, or have you just left a job? They're showing me an ending or a change around a job. Did you just recently complete a job, Kerry?
No.
So how long is it since you had a job, Kerry?
A month.
A month, okay. All right, so you've just recently completed a job. They were showing me that there's a new job coming up for you. I'm sort of looking at probably the end of August, early part of September. I do feel that to begin with it will only be a temporary or a casual position, which I feel will then lead into a more permanent full-time position, but it'll take about 3 or 4 months before you actually know that this has gravitated into a full-time position. They're also sort of showing me, Kerry, that there's been a lot of tears and a lot of emotion around you recently, that I feel that you've had a number of emotional issues that you've had to work through and you've had to release. Lots of hurt and past things that, that you really didn't feel comfortable with dealing with, but they've all come to the surface and you've had to look at them and understand them and sort of own what you were responsible for and try and release the rest. Is there a dark-headed young man in your life at the moment with a romantic interest? Do you have a young man in your life at the moment, Kerry?
What?
Looks like we might... Do you have a young man in your life at the moment, Kerry, that has dark hair, sweetie? No? Okay. Well, there's a young man coming up in your life that I think that's going to bring some really interesting opportunity there for a love relationship. He's got dark hair. He's a nice style of a man, and I feel very comfortable with him. So, Kerry, I think that's about where we're going to leave it today as far as your reading, because I think that's enough for you to absorb and start working on that there is work coming, there is love coming, and the emotions that you've been experiencing have been, you know, it's been timely. It's been the time for you to process these and to be able to sort of move forward from them. So if I can just take the show in a little bit of a slightly different direction now, it's always very interesting. People ask me, what is the favourite or the number one question that you get as far as readings? And I have to say love comes up there at number one, followed by number two is money. Then we look at all the other incidentals in our life. So if you've always wanted to know what's top of the pops, it's love followed by money. So we're going to go to Lynn in Sacramento, California. Lynn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How can I help you tonight, Lynn?
I just want to know if Spirit has something for me.
Sweetie, Spirit doesn't necessarily just come through with a random sort of, you know, here's a message for Lynn. Usually how I like to work with Spirit is that if you've got a direct question, then they'll give me the answer. So if you've got something that you'd like me to focus on, then it would be great.
My health.
Okay, health is an area that we're actually by law not allowed to cover. What I can tell you is that I can see more stabilising with your energy levels and you feeling that you can participate in life a little bit more. So that's about as much as we can do on a legal standpoint as far as health is concerned. It's legal pregnancy and health issues we're not allowed to cover by law. So have you got another area you'd like me to focus on? Because I did... Okay, so we can cover love. I did actually sort of feel that there was one coming back towards you from your past. Has there been somebody that's just come in the last couple of months that there was a past connection with?
Yeah, and I'd like them to stay there in the past.
Yeah, well, I was going to say I hope you want to put him in the past because that's where I want to put him. But they were showing me that as like a marker in time, like he's come back into your life, you've looked at that, nothing's changed, let's leave the door shut on that. But now it shows me that you're ready to open your heart up to embrace the opportunity of new love coming into your life. I do see someone new coming into your life as early as next month, and I'm going to say towards the second half of the month, towards the end of September, early October, there's a brand spanking new man coming in, somebody that you've got no history with, never laid eyes on him before. Tall man with brown hair. He's got the most twinkly bluey green coloured eyes. He's got a cheeky smile. He's got a really lovely sense of humour. It's a long time, Lynn, since I think you've had a really good belly laugh. And this man, above anything, he's going to make you laugh. And I think that's a good thing. It's nice to see you having a good time, having a laugh, and just being your old self. I think it's been a long, long time since you've been able to sort of feel like, gee, I haven't got the weight of the world on my shoulders anymore. And I'm not saying that that's the only part of the relationship that's good. I feel that, you know, there's great communication. I think you have lots of things in common. I feel that this man has been on his own for some time, a number of years, and it's not that he didn't have the opportunity to go dating or whatever. He just never really met somebody that he felt connected with, that he wanted to invest time with. So that's, I think, very similar to you. So it's really interesting that when we sort of start to get to know each other and we look at the parallels of things that have happened in your lives, it's like you've done the same thing or vice versa, he has, at a similar sort of pace, or a similar things happen to you in your lives and you sort of think, gee, we're almost like twins. But, you know, I like him. I think he's a nice man. He's a good, solid person, straight down the line, calls a spade a spade. He doesn't have any BS about him. There's no ex-wives, girlfriends or anything like that with any baggage, you know, like that's all been dealt with. He's a hard-working guy. He, you know, works hard, just lives a very basic sort of life. But I think the two of you are going to have a good future together.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're also sort of showing me, Lynn, that there's the potential in the next 18 months of a change of residence. Now, that may not be something that's in your scheme of things at the moment, and it may very well come in because of this new relationship, but they showed it to me before the relationship. So I was going to take that this was something that was going to be in your destiny anyway, regardless of the relationship coming in, as sort of like your life was progressing, your life was moving forward, that we've finally got you out of this, like literally your feet being stuck in concrete, that finally your life can move forward again, and that's a good thing. They're also showing me, Lynn, that you to really start to listen to your inner voice. You get messages and you think, oh, that can't be right, and you dismiss it. Please don't dismiss them anymore. If something comes to you, at least give it the acknowledgement, well, okay, all right, I'm listening. You told me about apples. Well, what in the hell do apples mean? I don't know. But I'm acknowledging apples. So that the more you start to acknowledge this and work with this energy, Lynn, the more information you will be given, the more guidance you will get. You've been asking for answers. You've been asking for guidance. They've been giving you like little pieces to a jigsaw puzzle, and you've been tossing them out the window.
Yes. You're right.
Yeah, but that's okay. Look, nobody told you to do anything different with it. Well, now you've been, showing that, you've got to keep those little pieces and try and work out what they mean. But they will come to you. There will be more and more answers. But the remainder of this year, Lynn, is about follow what feels right, follow your heart. If it feels right, do it. If it doesn't, don't question it. Just say, okay, it doesn't feel right. Next, I'm going on to the next thing. If you can learn to do that, in that very matter-of-fact way, you'll find that you'll have no issues that you really are going to stump you ever again. Anyway, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for calling into the show, Lynn. We've got less than 60 seconds left. So on next week's show, we're going to be working with our second part series of Mars in the Signs, which will be Cancer, Leo and Virgo. We'll also have our card of the week, and we'll have a little glimpse at what's happening in our astrological universe too. So I look forward to joining you again next week, same time, same channel, here on A1R Psychic Radio on Moonstruck TV. Have a great week and enjoy the universe and enjoy the full moon and the lunar eclipse. Bye for now.